everyone. You're watching God, Sex, and Love. It's your girl, Miracle Sims. And tonight I'm chatting with Miss Cherise Davis. She has an awesome nonprofit organization and many other endeavors. So if you're ready to learn more about her, then stay tuned. That's Welcome back to God, Sex, and Love. I'm here with Miss Cherise Michelle Davis.
Hmm.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. I'm
Welcome
doing
to God,
good.
Sex,
Thank
and
you for
Love.
asking.
I'm good. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, welcome to God, Sex, and Love.
I like those topics.
Right.
Yes.
Man, me and Miss Cherise, we go way back. I mean, I know it's been a little while since we've seen each other, but we actually met at church and everything
Mhm.
like that. And so I'm very excited to share everything that this lady has going on. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. I will start by saying a little bit of my origin story. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. So a lot of times people meet me and they assume I'm from the South, but I was born and raised until the age of 6 in the nation's capital. And so at 6 years old, I moved to Georgia with my family. And so I grew up the rest of my years there. I guess some other fun facts about me that kind of spill over into the person that I am is I attended private school, I did public school, and then I was also homeschooled. So I have a very interesting education background. I ended up studying hospitality in college, and I currently work in that space today. And today I am a adjunct professor for Atlanta Technical College, and so I teach hospitality, and it's also one of my spiritual gifts. So anything related to connecting with people and food and places and ambiance and making sure that people feel welcome, those are all things that excite me. Another thing that I'm really passionate about is inspiring others, particularly girls and women. And so in 2006, while I was in college, I actually started an organization for girls called Gloss. So that's, kind of an overview, but outside of like work related, ministry related things, I really enjoy eating. That's my favorite. And that's my favorite. And I love classic R&B. I just jam out as if I was born in the 60s and 70s. I know all the songs, like all of them. So I'm an
Right.
old soul.
I love it. I love it. I can definitely say that, I've definitely seen some of those things in action myself. Because again, that's how we met. I feel like now I don't know if you want to welcome me committee or did we
I,
just meet naturally as well? Because I have seen you do that as well. And so that
yes,
that that hospitality definitely shines through you, man. I
yeah.
definitely felt very welcome those times I saw you and just very like embraced by your smile and all those wonderful things. So it just pours out of you what you just said,
Thank
the
you.
hospitality side. So that's awesome as well. I am confirmation that that's accurate.
Yes, it's true. It's all true.
Yes. And then as well as yes, I've seen some of your things in regards to gloss. And so that's one thing I'm definitely excited to hear more about as well. Yeah, so let's get into gloss a little bit.
Okay.
Let's get into gloss a little bit. So tell us about gloss.
All right. So GLOSS is the acronym for God's Ladies of Significance and Service. And the backstory is during my sophomore year of college, I was trying to figure out my housing plans for my junior year. And I knew that I needed to kind of do something entrepreneurial, but I also knew that there was that part of me that was very, you know, very God focused, not perfect, but just, that was a part of, how I was raised and who I was. And then I also kind of was reflecting on my life and realizing that, yes, I grew up with two parents in the house. Yes, I went to church, but I still had lots of issues and, self-esteem and questions about purpose and identity. And so I sort of realized that I wanted to create something for girls. And so I had this idea of hosting retreats for girls, and I would do it throughout the month. And that was how I was going to cover my living expenses for my rising junior year. I was going to have these retreats for girls instead of having roommates, because I had done roommates freshman and sophomore year. And I was like, I don't want to live with anybody else. I want my own place. My mom has a financial background. And so she was like, well, roommates is how you pay for stuff. So she was just kind of like, you got to figure out a way to, to support yourself. So that was the idea that we sort of came up with. So not like it wasn't like an inspirational thing where God was like, go forth, inspire girls all over the world. Like, it started with the need that I had, and then, really kind of recognizing what had taken place in my life and then wanting to then offer something for girls. So I started working on these ideas, and I will tell you this, I knew that it was God because the ideas just flowed. And I'm the type of person where it takes me a minute sometimes to get stuff, to learn my lessons and to really master stuff. So the fact that this was just coming out, I was like, okay, this is not me. The name for Gloss, the colors, the mission, all of our core values, like those were things that God literally just put inside of me. So I started working on these ideas, and I was 19 at the time. So I knew it was a God thing too, because adult women were like, I'll help you, and I was also in college out of state. So I was in North Carolina, and I started Gloss in Georgia. So again, another reason why I knew that this was God, because there were a few ladies that helped hold Gloss down during the month while I was away at school. And I would go home once a month and spend time with the young ladies that joined. So anyway, yes, March 2006, that's when all these ideas for this thing for girls eventually came up with the name Gloss, realized our mascot needed to be a butterfly because girls go through phases, had a focus group in my parents' living room. So I invited girls, their parents, and just shared the idea to get some feedback. And I got positive feedback. So I then got a few ladies to kind of help me get started. And that included, my mom and a few other women who had been influential in my life. And then by like June, July, we had an official like open house event, and we started with 6 young ladies in 2006, and they were the daughters of just women that I knew. And so from 2006 to now, we've been able to serve young ladies, 100 plus young ladies. And it's just been really, really interesting to see what God has done in Gloss, but then also how he's grown me up over the years. I was a kid almost starting Gloss. So that's kind of the history, how Gloss got started. But the question of like, what is Gloss and what do we do? So our mission is to challenge young ladies to accept only God's best for their lives. And I feel like that's a life mission, because, when you're 6 years old, God's best might be keep your room clean, But then when you're 12, you might have some questions about, friendships and, what's going on with, at what happened at the sleepover, what she said or what she didn't do. Then you get a little bit older, and then it's like accepting God's best as it relates to the school you want to go to and what degree you should pursue. And then you get a little bit older, and it spills over into relationships. It's like, do I be with this guy? Do I not be with this guy? I want to be with this guy, but God doesn't want me to be with this guy. But I keep trying to be with this guy, and God keeps trying to shut this thing down. So, anyway, just saying that to say, challenging young ladies to accept only God's best for their lives. And so we want to serve girls between the ages of 5 and 25 years old. That's our long-term vision, is to target girls in that entire age group. But For now, we really seek out girls that are between ages 8 and 12. And then once they join, we encourage them to continue to be a part of Ross throughout the years and the phases of their lives.
Oh man, that is beautiful. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
man. Thank God for you and for everything you're doing. Because Lord knows, that's one thing we talk about a lot here on GSL. We talk about like how parenting is so important, but then
Yeah.
also I would say mentorship and everything that you're doing with your organization is definitely important, especially, there needs to be men for the boys, and there needs to be, women
Yeah.
for the girls to help us get through, like you just said, those different phases in life.
Phases of
And
life.
so you need to have, it's best to have, mentors that have your best interest in mind, and in everything you said. So I think that's beautiful. I commend you on what you've done.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing again, like you said, what God does, because
Yeah.
things that you started off, it was for you, right? You like, oh, I just
Right.
this need, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't a lot of things go that way? And it's like it starts there, but then you see that the thing for you is ultimately for others as well. So
Mhm.
you ain't gonna cry about it, but I'm trying to do
I know. I was like, I didn't set my tissues aside. I'm not sure. I may or may not cry.
like, I mean, it's true though. Like when you really
Yeah.
truly think about it, you're like, man, like, imagine if more children or more girls in particular, since that's what we're talking about with your organization,
Yeah.
grew up with this type of organization or mentorship or something like that. A
Yeah.
lot of the things that we see here today, wouldn't be as much of an issue if
Yeah.
we had that. So,
Some of our volunteers have actually said that. Like they'll be like, I wish there was a gloss when I was younger, and that is part of too why I think gloss is special and it makes us also unique from other organizations is like we want to be that bridge between home and church in a girl's life. So like we understand that mom, dad, the institution of the home, the institution of the church, like please do your role, but Gloss wants to be that extra support because even though I have great parents, I went to church, but there were just still things that I didn't share. There were just still I mean, I just didn't,
yeah,
and so wanting to have that other enhancement and that extra support for young ladies, especially too for girls that people overlook because on the outside it looks like everything is okay. You're not considered at risk if you go to church and have, parents and you can afford to put food on your table.
yeah,
But a lot of times those are the girls that end up in, bad relationships. They're the ones that have struggled with self-worth and esteem because of maybe something else that happened in their life that wasn't, altogether lovely and perfect.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just something I'm very sensitive like to that, what appears to be great. Things aren't always as they seem.
Listen,
So
you listen. I don't know if I should say preaching to the choir or if you're, I'm right here with you. I totally understand exactly where you're coming from. My mother was an evangelist, and now my father, he passed before I was born, but I did, eventually have my stepfather in my life,
Mhm.
from like the age of 5 or something like that. So I had a 2-parent home and there and whatnot as well. But again, like you said, there's some things that you just keep to yourself, right? There's some
Yeah.
things that if things look great on the outside, there still can be things going on within. And so again, I mean, that's what's the beautiful thing about your organization. I know
Yeah.
and I was telling you in the beginning before we chit chatted that, you remind me of my mom's organization.
Mhm.
Because I want to say around the time when I was younger, she was kind of gearing it towards kids and gearing it towards like, you know, well, more so kids, because I remember, we would get together and do things and she would encourage us to talk and things like that. But then, at the same time, when your mother is running an organization, it's like,
Yeah. There's like an added pressure of like, yeah, well, I'll be all right, or yeah,
yeah. And then if I was to have some type of issue, it's like, oh, what do you mean? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and so that's, I mean, yeah, I think that buffer is needed. Because everything is not what it seems like you just said, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a gap that needs
Yeah.
to be filled. So thank you for,
Yes.
doing your part to filling it, in the area that you're in. I mean, I don't know now. Is this just me, or am I the only one that see this as like an international thing, or maybe even like,
Yes. Yes, that's in the
know,
vision. That's
okay?
in the
Because I'm like,
vision. Yes.
instead of
Yeah.
Girl Scouts, let's go to Gloss. Like, I mean, I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know.
Yes. Yes. That's our vision. Our vision is to be a global sisterhood of
Mm,
Christ-centered young ladies and a network of resources to enhance their lives. That is our vision, And I mean, not trying to be like spooky spiritual or anything like that, but I do I do feel like God will really use this organization to I know, here in the United States, like we can just talk about God and it's not really a thing, But I know that there are places where that, that's a threat, like, that can mean your livelihood or your life itself. And I do pray that God does use gloss um, in those places. And I don't know when and how, but I do feel like that as we grow and become that global sisterhood, that at whatever point, even here in this country, that gloss essentially will just kind of, I don't know, because girls, women, like we carry the babies, we raise children, like we have that ability to influence, and we're always going to be chatting, we're always going to be talking.
yeah.
So I just, yeah, I'm sorry, I just kind of got a little carried away there, but I do feel like there's
No,
there's
you're
something
good.
there's something there.
Yeah, man. Hey, speak the vision. I knew you probably got to go write it down too, write the vision too. Like, I definitely can see that because,
Hmm.
like you said, we're a bit spoiled here in the U.S. We're a bit spoiled
Yeah,
to
we
feel
are.
like, because we do have certain freedoms here and whatnot, which, okay, I'm
Right.
just saying we need to stay prayed up that we keep them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, um,
Yeah.
because it's touchy out here right now.
Yeah.
But other countries
Yeah.
do have it worse in this aspect. Some are losing lives over what they want to
Hmm.
believe in. Um, so and this isn't, how can I say, it's not foreign though, right? Like the
Right.
Bible speaks of this same thing happening
Yeah.
in those days. So we shouldn't be surprised, I guess, when things are happening. But I
Yeah.
don't think we've experienced it for real yet. Not the way that
Yeah. Well, our feelings just get hurt, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, somebody just leaves a comment or on a post, or
Hmm.
we're uncomfortable, but like our livelihoods have not been completely disrupted. We feel attacked or offended. That's
Yes,
that's
yes.
that's all. Yeah. So,
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, yeah, girl. Anyway, we can go on and on about that,
yes.
I'm sure. Oh my goodness, because like, yeah, man. Yeah, people find what reasons to be offended these days when it's like,
Yeah.
it's a blessing that we can have these conversations, right? It's a
Yeah.
blessing that we can talk about God and Christ and everything like that, because those are, like you said, are threatening words in other countries. Like, other countries are
Yes.
like making it
Yeah.
like laws and whatnot that people aren't to worship,
Right.
So we shouldn't be taking any of this
Yeah.
lightly. I know we just took a little turn here, but hopefully whoever's listening to the sound of our voices will
Right.
get it. Like, come
Yeah.
on, y'all might need to start praying or something.
Right.
But anywho, there is also another project that you have. I don't know if you were ready to talk about this one or not. But
Well,
it's,
I do want to. I want to say one more thing
oh,
about another. I guess kind of another thing that I think is important too, or why I think gospel is important, is really um, helping young ladies to also build that personal relationship with God, because it is the only thing that sort of remains constant in your life. And and just in light of what we were just speaking about, and then just everything that happens, like, I mean, for instance, COVID disrupted like everything, but we're, even with that, people are still able to nurture a relationship with God.
Yes.
So just to the point of like helping young ladies to turn to God, like, I see gloss as a tool that God can use to help young ladies go through those phases, and even the phases of where they do mess up, because I won't lay all my stories out, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just so glad that God holds on to me, and that's what we want to help our young ladies to know, is that like grace and mercy is always going to follow you. Yes, pursue God, nurture a relationship with Him, but just be glad that He's actually going to be holding your hand and you not, because sometimes we let go. That's all I wanted to say.
Yes. I mean, thank you for saying that. And you can be as open as transparent as you want to be. Like, I ain't, no judgment here. I think
Yeah.
that's the whole thing for me at GSL, because I've been very transparent about a whole lot of stuff on here myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree and everything like that. And as you were talking too, I was thinking to myself, I want to see what I can do to assist. I do have some materials, not trying to plug, but I do, I have the Bible study journal, and I don't know if at some point you guys are going to talk about single life and whatnot as Christian women, because, like you said, there are times where, you can know all the right things to do, right? And you just,
and you still don't do the right thing. Yeah.
Right.
I think Sarah Jakes talks about that, because she talks about Eve, and I think she uses like Eve and Mary as an example. And one of the things she's like, a lot of times we judge Eve because, like, girl, why would you, why you God told you, but we are Eve. Like, so many times, like, we know better, but we don't do better. But thankfully, through the blood of Jesus, there is a way to clean it all up, and where we can start over.
Amen. Like they say, all things work together for the good of those that love God.
Yes. And yes, to the resources that you have, like, we can definitely talk about that, about how we can incorporate that into law. So
because I definitely would love to, because if it'll definitely, help, encourage, and inspire the young, women and whatnot to hold on, you know what I'm saying, or to wherever they are in their lives, that, I think hopefully I can help in some aspects. So yeah, I would love to do that and whatnot. I was gonna ask you about Pineapple Talks.
Yes.
You want to share with
Let's
us?
switch it up. Yes. Okay, so I like a good name. I just had to say that because I love the name Pineapple Talks. So Pineapple Talks is a podcast that I started, again, kind of like with Gloss. I was trying to take care of a need that I had, and a need that my students had. And then I was like, wait a minute, let's open this thing up for others. So Pineapple Talks is a podcast for, I say, hospitality connoisseurs and enthusiasts. So people who kind of are intrigued by all things hospitality, as well as people who actually are in the industry professionally. So I teach hospitality courses at a college, and one of my classes was like an intro to the industry. So we talk about cruising and tourism and hotels and restaurants, and all these various aspects of the industry. So even though I'm in hospitality, I don't have work experience in each part. So what I would do is bring in guest speakers. Well, when COVID happened, I couldn't bring in guest speakers because we're not meeting in person. So I decided to interview these different people in different parts of the industry, record the interview, and then send the links to my students so that they could watch it as they were, reading along with the chapters, to just kind of put some texture to the material. Because, we read our textbooks, but come on, it's kind of boring. So, and then I really wanted to give them, some quality inspiration as well. And I think that's another spin on Pineapple Talks. It's not just people in the industry talking industry stuff, and but also them sharing their stories. And that's part of who I am, is wanting to inspire people. So yeah, started it in 2020, as with so many people, like, 2020 was like scary in many ways, but it also allowed people to take some time to really think things through and to start new stuff. So I was one of those people.
Yeah.
So at this point, I have in doing that, I think I did 5 or 6. I think I did 6 interviews, and then I realized along the way, I like this. I like talking to people and asking them questions and giving them opportunity to share their story. And I was like, let me grow from this. Let me let this evolve. And I was like, okay. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm in that space of building it from just being that meeting that need for my students to using it as a brand and a inspirational tool for others. So
Love
yeah.
it. Love it. Man, I love how you mesh like all of your, endeavors with your gifts, your spiritual
Mhm.
gifts as well. All those things, they seem to just coincide well. Am I gathering this correctly? Is it all flowing
It's
really well?
interesting that you say that because I didn't think that they coincided initially. I didn't. I know. I didn't think so. There's a lady named Lennis Jones who she's a marketing expert, and she started a company a few years ago where she helps people to build their brands. And I've known her for years, and she would tell me like she essentially wanted me to be a client, but I didn't feel like I was client worthy. I was like, Glennis, I don't really have like I don't have nothing to say. I just didn't know what I could give or to do. And then even still, as I started to realize what I liked, I didn't know how it could come together. So in working with her, she really helped me to see that, my boxes or my lanes, they actually do align. And I was like, oh wow. So it was an aha moment for me earlier this year to start to put it all together. So I realized I didn't tell you why I called it Pineapple Talks.
No. No, why
I
did you?
didn't tell you. So pineapple is the international symbol for hospitality. So that is why it's called Pineapple Talks, because I'm talking to people connected to or related to hospitality.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me clarify that because somebody's watching, they're like, but what? Why Pineapple Talks? It's kind of random, but it's actually not random.
It's not. Well, I kind of knew a little bit. I
You did
remember
okay.
in regards to like Hawaii, right? Is that why in Hawaii it's or where did it?
Maybe. Now see, I should probably do some more research because I don't know the history of that. But I do remember when I first was in school, like that's what they told us when I was studying hospitality in school. But yeah, I'll be ready for the next time you do an interview. I'll be able to give you the whole story.
No, you good. No. I remember either seeing that about pineapple or whatever because I want to say like when we did our first housewarming or well our first housewarming. Oh, am I speaking something? Uh oh.
Right.
It's
I see
future
another property in my future.
the future house. Well, when we did our housewarming or whatever, I call it party like a pineapple, and it was like double meaning for
Hmm.
that reason of the welcoming of the. Some people say that they put them outside of their homes for that reason as well, or they'll have like the
It's
image on
it's
their.
a symbol of like welcome. Yeah. I do think it has something to do with like pineapples were given as like a gift or something like that. It's a little, yeah, I need to clarify the story.
But either way, it's still a cute name, and I like
It is cute.
it. Yes. Well, I don't want to be long your time, because I know you're probably a busy lady, got different things going on and everything like that. I was gonna just say I usually kind of wrap it up with this question, so I guess I'll ask you. Now, when you decided to come on GSL and you were like, "Oh, this is God, Sex, and Love," like I want to make sure I say something. Like, what was that? That thing where you're like, "I want to make sure I say this."
Um, let's see. I will say that, gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not bad, but I'll put you on the spot.
I will say that, I mean, I definitely I want God's best, and I want others to want God's best. And I would say for anybody that has that longs to experience love, to look for that in God first, because that needs to be your standard. That needs to be like where you draw from. And then as far as the sex part, I would say that it's so important to make sure that you have that in its rightful place, because when it's not in its rightful place, you will be messed up. And a lot of times, you don't always understand how the choices you make do have an effect on you. And so I would just encourage those who long for that and have not yet experienced it to just continue to press into God until that spouse comes where you can experience that in its fullness and in its glory. And for those that have experienced it and have not yet been, have the spouse, to know that like God still loves you, and that you are still worthy, and that God can use that one day to be a part of your story. So, I mean, there was a lot of things like when I was excited, when I saw the name, I was like, yes, like we're all grown ups around here. Let's talk about it, but it's also, very personal topics for all of us as humanity, and for me as a young woman in her 30s, it's like, okay, God, what you doing? Like,
girl,
where's my spouse?
Yep, I totally. Yeah. But I mean, even everything you just said there was definitely powerful, and I hope that people let that, I say it all the time, let them marinate on their heart, souls, and minds today, because you're right in both aspects. Again, everything you just said is absolutely right. I co-sign everything. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Look, are you trying to continue the conversation? Because
I mean, we can continue the chat. Like,
I don't know if you want to keep talking about it, but because I guess these are my topics here now. We get on that. No, but I mean, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I can totally relate on the single side. But then at the same time too, I can totally, like, it's so funny. I was responding to someone this morning. I saw a post and that people, like, it was like men ask women a question or ask, or something like that, and the men ask the question like, well, why do women feel like they can control when a man has sex? And I'm like, at first my first reaction was like, huh? What are they even talking about? But then I guess the more I thought about it, because I wasn't going to say anything, I just kind of scrolled past it because I'm in this group or whatever, and you see the posts and stuff, and I'm just like, eh. But then I guess with the platform of GSL, I don't know. I guess I felt that to go back to it. So when I did started to respond to the question, I just was like, I think again we need to get in mind of what God's design is, and so I've read the part in the Bible that says, when a man and wife come together, that my husband's body is mine and my body is his, and so maybe you're right. Maybe she is controlling when you have sex to a certain extent, maybe because that's what God designed is for sex in the right context. But obviously, if you're out of that order or whatnot, you're feeling it and it feels weird. Like, it doesn't feel weird in a marriage, maybe in another way it does. So it's funny that, I mean, I don't know, I'm just putting two and two together what you said earlier, and it made me think about that. I mean, it's hard. We're human, and I say it all the time. I'm, to try to stay in the will of God and everything. It can be, and everything, but it's rewarding as well to do your best with that and experience.
And it's like a universal thing, just God's design, God's plan for whatever, for everything. I mean, and sometimes, I think that we're unsure, but then there are other things that we do know. And, but either way, I'm just so glad for grace, because, sometimes it's like, it's even small things like I meant to call so-and-so, I meant to send this text, or, we forget to pay a bill, just like all these various various things that we are responsible for, but then there's God's love, and then there's God's grace and his provision and his care. And I think we should really, especially people who are still waiting for something, whatever they're waiting for, is to lean in on that. Because I think when we're waiting for God to provide or do something and he hasn't done it yet, we tend to lean more into God is so sovereign. That's what I've done. I'm like, he's in charge and he's just gonna do what he think is best. And then I forget that like sometimes in his saying no is also protection, or so yeah, and just trying to rest in like his design. Like I will say that has been a word for me this year, is like to stop trying to manipulate or control situations. And it might not appear that I'm that kind of person because I'm so nice and I'm so hospitable, but there is a part that is very like, okay, if I do this, then I can do, like, I'm trying to nurture a result. And it's like, how's that working out for you, Cherise? It ain't.
Wow.
But
you're human, you know what I'm saying? There's things that and I guess it's that balance, right, between, the faith and the work. Because sometimes you feel like, well, I'm trying to put the work in to show you I got the faith. But then there's sometimes where it's like, well, maybe I was supposed to rest instead of, it's like, which one am I supposed to do?
Yeah. And I think that's when we have to just that continually seeking God, continually seeking him. And then maybe even see it like the GPS. Like I was traveling from the DMV area yesterday to South Carolina, where I'm at now. And, for a while in the GPS, she is not saying a word. You just keep going back like, okay, I'm on the right track. And sometimes it can make you feel like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. But then when it's time to make a turn or something is coming up, it does speak and say, in 1.2 miles, take exit this, and then when you get to the exit, then, she'll say turn right. But so it's kind of like that's that, like you said, the rest part. And then it's okay, I'm checking the GPS just to make sure. And I think that's what God wants. He just wants us to seek him. He likes attention, and I think he does.
Yes, that constant communication, man.
That constant,
all of that. I think, and I think that's what the beautiful thing is about. Again, everything, all of your endeavors and everything you're doing, as well as like things that I feel like I've been able to do in this season. It's like I'm really seeing like everything really can be. He wants us to communicate with him about everything, right? It's like everything. Like even I've been on this fitness journey and whatnot, and I'm like combining faith and fitness. Like who would have thought? Like. And that's the thing. And I hope that, again, your story and everything, like, and the things that I share here can encourage and inspire people that, hey, whatever your gift is, use those things for the glory and honor of God, consult him, let him lead you and guide you in all those different things. Because honestly, we see that, with Cherise's story today, that, her things are helping others. And I think that's what all of us end up doing at the end of the day. Yes, you get the things for yourself, and then you also give to others whatever they need to do their thing. And it goes on and on and on. And I think if we just got to keep that in mind, everything to the glory and honor of God, working out,
that's
talk,
good.
whatever. Yeah.
That's a good point. Because when we're not careful, we can't find ourselves like doing it for us. And it's a fine line, And so I just think like in a moment where we feel that bit of conviction, like acknowledge it and then just make the shift, make the change. Don't then think that, oh, I'm a terrible person because I was thinking about me, or I posted this because I wanted some likes. Like, okay, yeah, you did it that time. Just, try to be more mindful next time,
And I think too, if you feel that conviction, that's a good thing as well. Because some people don't do it at all. Like don't even see anything wrong with their actions and whatnot. So I think, if you can hear God's voice in that aspect to be like, hey, get something right, get this or that right. I mean, I think we're still on the right track. And even like your GPS situation, the scenario you gave, you still was going on the track, right? You still was moving. You still was putting in that work and that effort to get to the destination, even though you might have been unsure,
Yeah.
even though you have to keep looking back. Like, you got me, Lord, you got me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing in this. I mean, I'm telling you, it's been a beautiful experience, but it's a little weird, to be in this
Yeah.
place where I feel like, because I mean, I share this all the time on GSL. They probably tired of me telling them, but I haven't told you. I mean, like I said, it's been a while since we chit chatted. But basically, long story short, like for me, like everything, I would say everything kind of shifted once I became a mom. Like I felt the shifts happening then. But then definitely in 2020, because again, I'm finding myself at home. So I haven't worked like I used to work since, I mean, maybe, okay, let's say 2019, just because I still was kind of working elsewhere while I was
Yeah.
trying to get my business off the ground and get my venue and all the stuff that I was trying to do at that time. But, and so it's an interesting place to be in where you're like, okay, Lord, I'm just trusting you to provide.
Yeah.
I'm trusting you to provide. And it's like, and it gets to the point where you're like, okay, well, Lord, I see the account, we got bills coming up. What do you do? And this thing,
Right.
I don't know where this blessing or that,
Literally, he does. He
or
does
things
do
that,
that.
yeah, things that have been established
He
start to
does
flourish.
do
You're like,
that.
oh, okay. Right when I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, oh, is this thing working, or should I keep
Right.
this thing going? And then this thing, that's the thing that you get blessed from, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I will.
Yep.
Thank you.
And from unexpected places,
Mm-hmm.
the provisions come, and opportunities that you sort of kind of pursued but didn't really quite pursue, and then it's very interesting. And but I think in all of it, he's teaching us like that reliance on him. Like, how people be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna switch it up on you. Like, I just do feel like he's always doing that, so that we always remember that he is the source, and not any, and not solely what we say and what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you, because at the end of the day, I mean, just to bring up the GPS situation again, sometimes, like, the route is 85 or the route is 95, like that's, that gets you from point A to point B. But then sometimes it'll be like, get off here and then take this other route that you've never actually been on. And then you realize, oh, I didn't need to go that way because there's traffic or there was an accident.
Right.
Or just whatever, like, but being able to be okay with the fact that we're not going the way that I thought that we were going to go, you
Yeah,
know. And
girl.
then it pops you, later on you pop down further down the road and you realize, oh, that was a nice scenic view, that was nice. I
Yes,
got to ride past this,
yes.
instead of just looking at other cars on the highway, But then if God has called you to sit in that traffic to go, on the highway, like, be okay there too. And, just wherever that's what learning to just be like,
Mm.
that is what I am learning, is to just be.
Well, I think you're doing it beautifully lately. I mean, lady, I think you're doing it beautifully. And like I said, I'm excited for everything you have going on. I think that your organization is great. I think that your show is great. I don't know what,
Yay.
what else you got cooking, sis. I don't know what else you got going on over there.
Well, the only other thing I am doing, it's funny you say that, because I am always doing something. But I also, it's still kind of related to hospitality, but I've also started an Airbnb.
Girl,
I know, one of my long-term desires at one point, it's still sort of something I do think God will allow me to do, but I wanted at a one time in my life to have a bed and breakfast. And and it's so funny, I always wanted one, but I never actually stayed in one. And I got to stay in one for the first time in September of 2021, like, which is so funny. But anyway, I think it's just because of the fact that there's that warmth and that welcoming and that intimacy, that connecting, that's still part of my core. But anyway, yes. So I was like, yeah, this is something I always wanted to do. And so I do want to acknowledge my brother. He kind of gave me that little nudge to just get started with the Airbnb. Um, I moved to the Augusta area. And so Augusta is known for hosting the Masters golf tournament. And, he was like, Masters is a big deal. Like people come in from everywhere. And so that was like my first Airbnb opportunity. So that Masters week in April of 2021, I actually had 2 bookings that week. And so I was like, okay. So I found, I started to get a little rhythm, and so from then to now, I've just been hosting people, and it's been really exciting. And I realized that I actually like that vacation rental model more so than the B&B. Not that I don't, when you're doing an actual B&B, you got to get up in the morning, you got to make breakfast, you got to, people are in and out, but the rental idea is more so it's easier for me right now in this phase of life. And at some point, maybe later the model will change. But for now, this is great. Now I just want to have vacation rentals everywhere. That's what I want to do. So I have Pineapple Talks on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, and then Gloss all over the world and Airbnbs here, there, and everywhere. So
you can do it, man. You can. I feel like if God's putting it on your heart and mind, that is, it must be attainable. If it's on your heart,
I believe that. Yeah.
I think that's probably what you want you to do. So, I mean, I commend you on all that. That sounds great. I might have a connection for you. You say you're in South Carolina now?
Yes.
I might have a connection with the bed and breakfast in South Carolina.
Ooh. And that might be a good person for me to interview too for Pineapple Talks.
There you go. See how look at God. Look at God.
Okay.
Man, so okay, that's really cool, man. I'm so glad. Look what we found out by staying on a little bit longer. All right. Yes. Congratulations on your Airbnb. Congratulations on your awesome organization and your show and everything like that. I'll be praying for you in regards to that, single life, because
it feels a little bleak sometimes. It's like, okay, but
like as a single lady, you out here doing your thing, and the right person. You definitely want the right person to be with you and then push you to that next level. And look, so y'all both can be, with the international things.
Yes, the international things. Yeah, I'm itching to get out of the country. It's been a while. I think we all are. We just like, can we go outside?
I have not been the farthest out of the country I've been is the Bahamas. I've been to different states and doing different things, but I would love to get out of the country and experience some other places.
See what God has done and created in other places. That's kind of what it is for me. It's like I just want to see more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you get the chance to do that, because that was one thing. I would say once I did become a wife and mom and stuff like that, I would think back like, man, I should have went harder to try to travel. Yeah. I mean, I did kind of try to do some things, and I feel like my husband got a leg up because he was in the Marine Corps, so he got a chance to see, more places in that aspect. But I tried. I tried to audition like Tokyo Disney and all kinds of stuff, but none of those things panned out. So, oh well, I guess it wasn't meant to be for me to do those things. But
just yet. It's interesting you say that, because people always say that. They're like, "Oh, do it now while you don't have a spouse and kids." And I mean, I hear that, and I hear what you're saying, but I also know that I will say I had an amazing mom, and she really invested in my brother and I. And so your role as a mom, your role as a wife is like, that is a beautiful form of ministry. Like it is, there's this kid that came knowing absolutely nothing, and the core and the essence of who they are and who they will become will be because of you, and so like, you can travel anytime, but you are a part of like making and developing a person that's going to then contribute to society. Like, so you might want to see some more beaches and, travel here, and you will do that. But, for all the days that you're cleaning toilets, making grilled cheese sandwiches, you know, whatever, making beds, washing clothes, folding linen. It's big. It's so much bigger than just that. So I just, as a person that grew up with a mom that was so present and invested, I can say it would be worth it.
Wow. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I thought you was going to say? I thought you was going to say, oh, well, you can take your family and travel. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you could do that too.
Well, yes, you can do that too.
You
You can
know,
do that too.
but
Yeah.
no, I appreciate the blessing. I appreciate what you just said. That is beautiful. And I'm trying my best, man. I say if I can be,
Yeah.
you know, if I can walk in my mom's footsteps at least, you know, I feel like I'll be a half of mom she was to me. You know, I feel like I'm doing all right
Mm.
with my kid, like my son, that, you know,
Yes.
I think I'm doing all right. He's
Yeah.
very honorable.
How old is he?
He's 3 now. He's 3. Yeah,
Wow.
crazy. I might let you meet him when we got
Yes.
yeah, because last time you
Yeah.
saw him was baby, right?
I think I maybe saw him as a baby.
Yeah,
Because
one time.
I feel like I remember you pregnant, and I think I remember him. He was like new. Like
Yeah, like
new.
be in the little sling with it.
Yes. Yes.
Now he's talking and stuff, so hopefully
Right.
he'll
And
be
got
as admirable.
questions and opinions.
Yeah. Girl, I'm telling you, it is something else.
Yeah.
Well, look, girl, listen, because I know
We
we're gonna sit here and talk for hours. So
all day. Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much for spending time and
My
being on
pleasure.
GSL. You're definitely welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it. So thank you for the opportunity to talk with you and to just share.
Thank you so much for watching God, Sex, and Love. And thank you to Ms. Cherise Davis for joining me for this conversation tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Please check out her endeavors, her organization, Gloss, her show, Pineapple Talks, and please check out her Airbnb as well. And until next time.
Okay, Boomer.